It's spooky season, and I've noticed the topic and theories of Coraline have been resurfacing. This world of mystery and scare have created tons of theories from its fan base, and in today's video, I wanted to go over them as well as some of the never-before-seen theories that will blow your mind. So, grab your favorite snacks and blanket and get comfortable because this is going to be a wild ride. Coraline never returned home after her first trip to the otherworld, and she is the next Beldam. The most disturbing fan theory involves speculation the Beldam actually won in the end, leaving Coraline trapped in the otherworld. To understand the theory, it's important to know what the other mother actually is. She is referred to as a Beldam, which is a very old malicious woman and a witch. The other mother is a shape-shifting demon whose goal is to lure children into the otherworld and entice them to stay so she can feed on their souls. She does this by making voodoo dolls that look like the children whom she wishes to capture so she can spy on them and find out what they like. Although she presents herself as Coraline's mother, it doesn't take long for her to reveal herself as a giant arachnid with a cracked porcelain face. This is an important detail, but more on that later. So did Coraline make it out of the otherworld? The answer is no. In fact, she never left at all. In the book, when Coraline meets the ghost children, they tell her that once they saw the Beldam, they never saw their true mothers again. Isn't it odd that Coraline has to use the portal door to enter the otherworld, but she never goes back through it to leave? This is because this is all a game of cat and mouse. Each time Coraline goes to sleep in the otherworld, she is just going one layer deeper into that dimension. When she awakens in the real world, it is just an illusion the Beldam crafted. The only way out is through the door, and there is only one key. But at the end of the movie, Coraline has thrown her one way out down a well. Theories and speculations have suggested that the well can be a portal to the otherworld. Possible fact V that arguably prove this theory is that Wybie states that you can see a sky full of stars in the middle of the day from down the well. In the otherworld, it's always a sky full of stars, and because of that, she will never be able to leave. When Coraline is trying to escape the otherworld, she notices the tunnel feels longer and steeper each time she uses it, as if she is climbing upwards. That is because the otherworld is actually a very large and very ancient beast. Since Coraline keeps falling asleep in the otherworld and using the portal, she is actually just going deeper into the belly of the beast. In the book, Coraline says that the tunnel sounds like it's breathing, and when she reaches out her hand, it feels like she's put it in someone's mouth. What exactly is the beast? It could be a large mother rat, using her rat children to help feed her. There is a line in the book when Coraline touches the walls of the portal tunnel where she says it felt fur-like. She also says that whatever it is far older than the other mother. It's deep, slow, and aware of her presence. On her last attempt to escape, Coraline also feels something scuttled between her feet in the dark, trying to trip her. That sounds like a smaller rat running past her. Consider this quote from the book. "We are small, but we are many. We are many, but we are small. We were here before you rose. We will be here when you fall." In the movie, the cat that Coraline befriends also says that the other mother hates cats. Is it because the other mother is scared of the rat beast she is living in and doesn't want to upset it by allowing the cat to run around and kill the rats? The next part of the theory suggests that the other mother used to be human, and when she got trapped in the otherworld, she only had her sewing room to hide in. When she realized she was getting old and dying, she used items in her sewing room to keep her looking young, hence the button eyes. But the other mother also needs to feed, and a child's soul can keep her sustained for years. Remember her cracked porcelain face? The other mother hasn't had a child to feed on for a while, and her porcelain face is chipping away. What's more, the rat beast is also feeding on the other mother's life force. She is stuck in this world just like Coraline is. So, Coraline didn't make it out of the rat beast limbo world, but she was able to get away from the other mother. Without Coraline, the Beldam died. This next part is truly terrifying. With the Beldam gone, the rat beast will need to feed on something else. This theory concludes with the idea that Coraline will now become the next Beldam, and she will now have to lure in children to feed on. Coraline becoming the next, which was subtly hinted at by her father calling her his twitchy witchy girl. There are a ton of other theories about Coraline and the otherworld, but this is by far the most terrifying one. Theorists point to the final shot of the garden, which so closely resembles its counterpart in the otherworld. Coraline also sees her parents in a mirror in the real pink palace while they are trapped in their snow globe. Would the Beldam really be able to conjure such an image outside the other world? It's also strange that such a dark film could end so happily, with every loose end tied up. Kat's disappearance from the Pink Palace sign shows that magic still exists. Throughout the film, Coraline uses the symbolism of body parts as a physical representation of emotional manipulation, revealing the unseen trauma caused by emotional abuse. Hence, the most repeated symbol throughout the film are used as the other mother's physical manipulators. The other father has multiple attempts on trying to warn Coraline and help her. The song he sings is an example of this. Crazy, right? Another fan mentioned that they have always held on to thinking that Wybie's grandma and her sister both were being tricked by the Beldam. And the grandma started seeing cracks in the other world, but the sister decided to stay. The grandma, realizing what was really happening, locked away the doll, stopping any children in the Pink Palace, essentially starving the Beldam. She knew the doll changed and tried to keep it hidden, but Wybie goes poking around in places he shouldn't be. That's why she's so angry about it being missing. She went to check on it, and it was gone. She was panicking, probably thought the Beldam would take her too since she didn't get her sister. We know she never let Wybie go inside. Why send him to get the doll if she wasn't panicking or in a good state of mind? Also, Grandma was relieved and surprised when she saw Coraline in the garden. She knew how dangerous the Beldam was. There is another theory that the other mother created the world herself. It's a long theory, but basically the term Beldam refers to a well-liked lady in older times. Based on some dates in the town, it's likely that the Beldam was one of the first settlers in this town. As to why there is a garden of her in the back, tying into where Coraline could be next because it can look like either of them. But the Beldam would have lived in the Pink Palace and was somehow taken to the other world that she manufactured herself using her soul sand. Long story. The reason it was older than the Beldam could be that it was the way the Beldam entered, and the reason it was brown could be she didn't want to waste energy making up the illusion because there was no point. I fully support the sleeping part though, how each time she sleeps through it puts her deeper, and it is even shown in the end. In the beginning of the movie, Coraline's mom is shown to have a crooked nose, an imperfection. In the other world, she has a straight nose, and when she returns, it's still straight, which could be a hint. In the book, she used the portal corridor to get back to her world at the end of Chapter 4. Once she gets back, she struggles to put the keys on top of the door again, even though she did it a couple chapters prior before entering the other world. This fits the theory that she hasn't actually returned, and the Beldam has warped the worlds ever so slightly. End of Chapter 4, Coraline took a deep breath and stepped into the darkness. She became certain that there was something in the dark behind her. Her heart beat so hard. She closed her eyes against the dark. Eventually, she bumped into something and opened her eyes, startled. She had bumped into an armchair in her drawing room. The open doorway behind her was blocked by rough red bricks. She was home. Then the start of Chapter 5, Coraline locked the door of the drawing room with the cold black key. She went back into the kitchen and climbed onto a chair. She tried to put the bunch of keys back on top of the door again. She tried 4 or 5 times before she was forced to accept that she just wasn't big enough. Similar to the theory by the fangirl that she never got back to the real world because she slept in the other Pink Palace and woke up in the real world, which is basically just another layer to the other world. But anytime she goes through the door, she goes to the real other world, but never back to the real world. But always the fake real world. That would help explain the whole ending where the parents are so nice and great to her. Some people would assume Coraline is safe and sound at home after dropping the key down the well at the end of the movie, while some believe that this is the beginning of an even bigger nightmare. Wybie states that the well is so deep that if you fell down it, you would see a sky full of stars in the middle of the day. Thinking about it as an adult, in the other world it's always nighttime, so some believe Coraline threw the key right back to the other mother. Also that Coraline's mother and/or father wanted to get rid of her. Her father told her to count all the doors leading Coraline to find the small door. And when she pestered her mom about the door, her mother knew exactly what key to grab, so her mom gave it to Coraline in hopes that the rumors about the Pink Palace are true. But there's also a theory out there that contradicts that, but we won't get into that today. Wybie's grandmother knew something was off about the house, and after the other mother's growing hunger, the other mother went after Wybie, so Wybie's grandmother allowed another child to move in so that the other mother would leave her grandson alone, leaving Coraline right in the other mother's grasp. Some fans have theories about the Pink Palace that says the house was built on what is known in fairy folklore as a trod, a road/portal between the fairy world and ours, and vice versa. Trods can be located literally anywhere, from a forested clearing, a sunny beach, or even under your stairs or, in this particular case, a crawl space, and a human can in the blink of an eye stumble upon their world. Anyway, once the PP was complete, the trod had fully assimilated into the house until the Pink Palace had actually become the new portal, the actual door to the otherworld being the crawl space. The origin of the key is unknown, but since it has a button-shaped fob, we can only assume it was made by the Other Mother, who left it in the human world so kids could open the door and be lured in. Coraline's father mentions that the house is 150 years old, which could be the Other Mother's age, hinting that she might have sprung to life when the house was built, or it's just how long she's been haunting the Pink Palace. Considering how she's only stolen children who've lived in the PP and nowhere else, she's probably bound to it and can't go anywhere else, hinting that maybe somehow the PP binds her to one place, to one hunting ground. Since the house is 150 years old and there are only 3 ghost children, one can assume that the Other Mother needs to feed on a child at least once every 50 years. The one theory that I feel a lot of Coraline's fanbase could agree on is that she never left the Beldam's world. I do think it's the best fit when comparing all of them. The shot that really helps confirm the theory is one of the final shots of the movie, where you see Coraline gardening with her neighbors and parents. In the other world, the garden seemingly looks identical to Coraline, but if you take away the color, you can see it looks far more like the Other Mother, and that the reason it looked like Coraline was purely because of its color palette. The upturned nose look the bridge has points towards the Beldams. And then there's the final shot, where it shows the cat disappearing into the post/portal. There's a theory that the cat actually works with the Beldam. Beldam means witch, and witches typically have familiars and are associated with black cats. It could be a game between the Beldam and the cat, where the cat tries to save them and the Beldam tries to lure them in. He even says earlier in the move, "It's a game we play." And in one of the final scenes of the movie, the parents seemingly don't neglect her anymore, which makes minimal sense to the story. We already know the Beldam is capable of taking on the form of Coraline's mother and making exact copies of everyone else in her life. So what if she took the form of her mother and convinced Coraline that she escaped and was now back in the real world? There's another popular theory related to the cat, that the cat was the Other Mother's version of a doll that she could send to Wybie, which is why the cat would have the ability to talk in the other world. He would report back to her everything he was doing. But eventually he grew attached to Wybie and no longer wanted to work with the Other Mother, which is why he tried to stop Coraline from dropping the key into the well. Because he knew the well was a portal and that she was simply returning the key to the Beldam. I know it's a lot, but I think the different theories is part of the reason we love the movie. With its symbolism, duality, complex characters, thought-provoking themes, and emotional resonance, it makes for a great film that I think will always create great discourse among its viewers. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on some of your own theories so we can keep this discourse going, and turn on post notification so that you are notified when another video is posted. Thanks for watching. Peace.